Hello and welcome to this video on my channel. We're going through, having a bit of fun with the vice versa tarot deck and going through the symbolism according to obviously the artist and the designer of this deck, and I've got those here. I've also got, if you haven't seen my first video about the major arcana, I've also got a card in my Indigo Insight Tarot Hint cards which covers the basic symbolism, the most common symbolism used in generally most decks, but typically the Rider-Waite sort of style deck, and what it actually means. And on top of that, I've also created my own database from many years of gathering information and acquiring, you know, bits and pieces of information from things that I've learned, and also many manuals and such like on the symbolism used in many other decks, but typically again the Rider-Waite. So the bit of fun that we're going to have is just, I am not going to spend as much time going through the minor arcana symbolism, because to be honest with you, the minor arcana symbolism, there is less in here. It's actually more about the depiction of the image and obviously the placement of the card in a reading, and there isn't actually as much symbolism from the kit book, you know, compared to the major arcana, which contains quite a lot of symbolism. So we're going to go through this relatively quickly, and this isn't an in-depth insight into the symbolism on every single card either, because that would be, you know, kind of next to impossible to do. It'd take forever. But yeah, we'll just go through them pretty quickly. So we've got a wreath here. Obviously, you know, we're not going to go through the meanings of the cards. They're just the symbols that are in. So obviously this is sort of victory. Birds typically depict sort of a higher spiritual influence of some sort, you know, to do with that. And it says from the book here, intuition that enables vision from above. And so, you know, with the Ace of Swords here being quite a very positive card, forthright card. We've got the Two of Swords here. You know, there's not that much symbolism in that one really, apart from the fact that the swords are sort of blue and red, which does occur quite often throughout this deck. Like for instance, the candle flames in the World card, one's blue, one's red, and several times throughout this deck you get quite a lot of symbolism like that. Obviously we've got rose petals here on the Three of Hearts, and we've got a leaf. Quite interesting. The Four of Swords, fire depicted here, but no specific symbolism. What's that there? There's something there, and I can't really figure out what that is. I don't know. A bit too small. So the 5, not so much symbolism in there. The 6, I don't think there's much symbolism in there, apart from a goblet. Yeah, we've got the Seven of Swords here. Interestingly enough, we've got sort of fire in there. We've got a skull, the transitory nature of things. So yeah, it's sort of, you know, and a helmet. The skull is actually wearing a helmet, which is quite interesting. Okay. The Eight of Swords, rope. I mean, rope just generally is, you know, things that obviously tie you up, and binding. The Nine of Swords, again, not so much symbolism in there, really. The Ten of Swords, armor. Solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. Solar eclipse. Got the page. Yeah, the Knight of Swords. Again, you see, you've got swallows. So again, you know, birds, intuition that enables vision from above. You know, the power of the Knight of Swords. The Queen. Crystals on the back. Symbols. But I'm not so sure that is anything specific. Obviously, crystals can be used in a wide manner. You know, they're a higher vibration. And so, you know, sitting behind the Queen here of Swords, the sort of the backing of massive crystals going on here, which is quite interesting. And then the King of Swords, we've got the Falcon. The Falcon is a solar masculine principle, so very much obviously with the King of Swords. The colour purple, you know, sort of royalty, that's a supreme wisdom depicted symbol there. Crown, power and worldly ambition. You know, again, it's a sort of a symbol, isn't it? A crown, and that appears, you know, in quite a lot of the Queen and King, Emperor, Empress cards. Okay, Pentacles, the Ace. Nothing specific there. Again, a lot of the minor arcana don't really have, because the meaning of the minor arcana cards comes through an awful lot more than specific symbols, as opposed to the major arcana, which have got quite a lot of symbolism. I mean, every now and then you come across symbols of things. See, like here we've got the Three of Pentacles, so we've got a rose. You know, the fleeting sweetness of life, purity of spirit, symbol of love that outlives death, on the Three of Pentacles. And then we've got a cube here with a fire symbol on there. And the cube is very much matter that has been shaped, control, stability, limitations. So again, you know, with the three, that would fit quite, you know, it's quite fitting, isn't it? We've got the Four here, so we've got a symbol of fire, and that's pretty generic, you know, flames, necessary destruction of all that is old, and purification. We've got a labyrinth, you know, in the background there, sort of a Celtic symbol, pathway. Interesting. Five of Pentacles. Nothing specific there. On the back, of course, we've got this person with his head in his hands. Whether it's kind of, you know, somebody losing their temper maybe, or losing their mind because they're trying to help the person on the front who doesn't necessarily want to help himself maybe. And a lamp here, you know, lighting the way. Otherworldly illumination, symbol of the direct presence of God, maybe. Six of Pentacles. Lots of symbolism on the back. Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Saturn. I don't know what that symbol is. Seven of Pentacles. Interesting. Got a skull down here, which again is, you know, a symbol for the transitionary nature of things. So again, you know, with the seven here, you know, it looks like somebody's pretty devastated that there's nothing really happening with this tree. Sometimes you just have to wait. Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, nothing specific on that one. Nine of Pentacles. We've got a dove, obviously purity and such like that's depicting. We've got a rabbit or a hare down here. Oh, okay. So I've just seen, that's quite interesting. So on this list here, they've got red and blue, bipolarity, fire and water, spirit and matter. So that occurs quite a lot throughout this deck actually. And then we've got red and white. So that's also interesting. So red and white. Okay. Interesting. So 10 of Pentacles. Symbol of Venus there, and then I think that's Scorpio. Don't know. Interesting, not a huge amount on there. Page of Pentacles. Now we've got this this horn. What is this called? It's like the horn of plenty. I think I can't remember. There's a name that this is called. Oh, I can't remember what it's called now. They call it something on here. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head now. Sort of endless possibilities, isn't it? Endless. The Horn of Plenty. Actually, I don't know whether that is the Horn of Plenty. I think it is the Horn of Plenty, but it's usually depicted in a different way. But anyway, it's next to impossible to remember all. This is why this is just a bit of fun, you know, to try and search for. So we've got the Knight of Pentacles there. We've got the Queen. Again, we've got a Falcon. Solar masculine principle, which is interesting. We've got roses. A rabbit appears quite a lot, but doesn't actually have a specific. I suppose, you know, a rabbit is sometimes about speed. I would say a rabbit sometimes, you know, about fertility. Obviously, the links with sort of the pagan side of things at the sort of the first quarter of the year, Easter time. That's now being called Easter. So we've got this higher plane influence here with the bird, intuition that enables vision from above. Got the King of Pentacles. Oh, what's golden orb? I mean, the orb, domination of the world, you know, that kind of power. We've got a melon, fruit. It's not pomegranate. That's definitely a melon, but again, it's not listed. So, the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups. We've got the Dove, obviously, which is sort of the purity and spiritual higher plane influence. Got the Knight that looks like the Knight of Cups in the background there. The Two of Cups. We've got the snakes intertwined, and I still can't remember what that means again. I've got a pendant with that, and I can't remember what it is. I got a chakra pendant with that. It's a medical thing, isn't it? It's a healing symbol of some sort. Three of Cups. Looks like we've got pomegranates down here. Pomegranates, feminine mysteries, the underworld, fertility, the sacred fruit of the mystic female divinities. Quite powerful, actually. And I like as well how it's depicted with three women in there, and we've got sort of a flock of birds in the background. So yeah, very much higher plane things going on. Four of Cups. Ship in the background. Travel. You know, the Four of Cups sort of almost through stubbornness and obstinacy has missed the ship, as it were, going out by focusing on the wrong thing. The Five of Cups, again, much the same, you know, focusing on the negative or what's destroyed rather than what's left, depending on how the placement of the card is. We got the bridge in the background, which very often is actually depicted depicted in the Five of Cups. Almost a way out, you know. Take what's good, forget what's bad, leave it behind, and cross the bridge. And behind it looks like we've got a rose again, 5-petaled rose. The fleeting sweetness of life, purity of spirit, a symbol for love that outlives death. And again, it's behind the person looking at the spilt cups. The Six of Cups. Yeah. Not a lot of symbolism in there, apart from the obvious with the Six of Cups. The Seven of Cups, lots of options and such like going on. We've got sort of a face in the middle there that's brightly lit. And if we look on the other side, you know, we see the face of the chap looking at the cups as if, you know, a bit overwhelmed with what's going on. Can't really take it all in. The Eight of Cups, we've got the sun, the kind of picture of the sun and the moon. So again, you know, about cycles and things going round. Depiction of a boy here, child, innocence, the birth of the consciousness of man. Yeah. Yeah, the other thing, yeah, okay. So we've got the Nine of Cups. Not really. So we've got that horn again, that sort of golden horn. And the angel there, sort of, you know, the offering of plenty, isn't it? I think the gold. Solar, incorruptible, alchemical fire, worldly concerns. The Ten of Cups. We've got the Ace of Cups depicted in here with the lotus. Now the lotus is actually one of enlightenment, beauty and rebirth. Interesting, isn't it? Ten of Cups. Enlightenment, beauty, rebirth. With the Ace of Cups in the symbol in there as well. Got the Page of Cups. Fish. Depicted there. Very often is depicted in there. Turtle. I don't think the turtle is actually listed as anything specific on here. No, it isn't. So, I mean, the turtle, the symbol of the turtle to me would represent longevity, steadfastness, you know, taking things slow. You know, sometimes slow wins the race better than rushing ahead. The Knight of Cups. So we've got a crab. The crab, connected to the moon, symbol of the chthonic forces. Yeah, so cycles of life, shedding, rebirth, you know, a point of vulnerability until you find a host, like in the case of a hermit crab, or until the crab's shell hardens again after it's shed, you know, it's old. So we've now got the Queen of Cups. She's like a massive crystal that she's sitting on there. The ibis. Again, the bird ibis. The ibis, the bird that is in the incarnation of Thoth, the god of the word, creator. I think that's supposed to say god of the world. Wasn't Thoth the god of the word or the world, creator and healer? The King of Cups, got a fish again. We've got the lotus flower. Enlightenment, beauty, rebirth. Interesting. Then we've got a dolphin on the back. Dolphin's not specifically listed, but again, you know, a dolphin to me represents a symbolism of a dolphin would be intelligence, speed, intuition, you know, communication. You know, these are all things that we learn about the dolphins. And yeah. Okay, so the last suit of this deck is the wands. Symbols in the wands. So obviously we've got fire, we've got lightning, otherworldly illumination, symbol of the direct presence of God. We've obviously got another bird there, an eagle, falcon, the sun, masculine principle. The two of wands. We have the golden orb again, you see. Now the golden orb, you know, the domination of the world. It's like, you know, holding everything is within the power of the person holding the orb. And obviously with the two of wands is sort of, you know, looking forward for that next step, looking for the ship to come in, looking sort of, you know, creating that world of moving forward. And then we've got the three, which is obviously, you know, the next stage on is that real start of the journey. And here the orb has sort of turned into a fire and water, blue and gold. Yin and yang. Yin and yang. Yeah. So we've got the colour red, obviously sort of a royalty. Four of wands. We've got a ram's skull, we've got the dove again. You know, that sort of purity and innocence. Five of wands. Fire, eruption, you know, the awesomeness of things that are going on while petty squabbling, you know, pretty destructive things happening. The six of wands. So we've got the wreath, the symbol of victory. We've got a wreath of a crown of wreath as well. So power and worldly ambition. Interesting. Seven of wands. This one's pretty straightforward, really. No specific symbols in there. And I think it's the same with the eight, although this one's got lightning in here, and then on the back it's got lightning. You know, lightning is the otherworldly illumination, symbol of the direct presence of God, so sort of a higher authority. And then we've got a sort of a Pegasus horse. Again, I don't think that's actually specifically mentioned. Nope, not specifically mentioned in here. I'm looking at the symbolism, meanings and such like that were highlighted out of the book, the kit book, and so that's where I'm getting, you know, this information from. So we've got the nine of wands here. Cave. Now the cave, a place for initiation ceremonies, rebirth, descent to the underworld. And interesting how there's a woman sort of with her hand out towards this chap. So, you know, obviously after the nine being battle weary and on guard and such like, that, you know, again, sort of a transitionary card as far as I'm concerned with the cave. You know, it's kind of like taking faith to move to the next level. Ten of wands. Again, I don't think there's any specific symbolism here, apart from the fact that it's got a statue of the chap that happens to be working himself to death. Yeah. Statue, is that in here? I don't think it is. No. The Page of Wands. Got the Phoenix, rising, change, power, energy. The Knight of Wands, obviously an action card. Not quite as powerful as the Knight of Swords, but still very much a movement in this card. Riding a unicorn. Obviously lightning again, you know, on the back here. Lightning, otherworldly illumination, symbol of the direct presence of God. Interesting. They've got the Queen of Wands. Again, nothing specific standing out here other than the obvious. We've got sort of a depiction here of the Sphinx, which is mentioned. So again, it's hidden wisdom, the enigma. And then the last card, which is the King of Wands. The King of Wands. There is something down here, and I can't really make out what it is. It looks to me something like a salamander, but I don't think it is. And we've got a massive snake. You can just about see it on the other side of the card. There's a huge snake, and snakes in this deck, and I think in a lot of deck, is about wisdom, the willingness to seek knowledge, and chthonic forces again. So yeah, the King of Wands. Very interesting. So anyway, there we go. Bit of fun. Looking through the vice versa deck and all the symbolism that is in the deck, and I might put this list, if you don't have the kit book, then, which I find absolutely has been really invaluable when I first got this deck a few years ago now, to understanding everything about this deck and what the other side, you know, actually means. And this is now my sort of go-to deck on nearly all readings now, apart from a couple of other decks that I use. But generally speaking, I use this deck probably more than any other deck now. So, but yeah, anyway, a bit of fun. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for watching the video, if you stayed and watched it all, and I hope that you found it useful.